I don't know why this feels so scary. When I was 17 and I started on YouTube, I didn't even think about like who, I mean, I guess I knew who would see it because when I made my YouTube channel when I was 17, the videos are still up here. Um, I was a fairy makeup artist, and I put that in quotes because I thought I was hot shit because I was 17, but actually I didn't really know a lot about doing makeup. I just knew what I knew, and I had a lot of opinions, and I said things that I don't necessarily mean anymore, but my house is so noisy, sorry. I could just turn the camera on and talk and feel comfortable just talking. Now I have these ideas for videos, for projects I want to do. That fearlessness just isn't in me anymore. I don't have that. I mean, it's still there sometimes, but that like reckless abandon towards not necessarily embarrassment, yeah, like embarrassment and shame. Like, yes, I felt those things at that age, but I was just so, I was untouchable. What I've gone through over the past 10 years, going from childhood to adulthood, and I'll put that in quotes because there are still definitely people who think 28 is not an adult. But I'm going to be 28 in a couple days, and I've been thinking a lot about where my life is and what I'm doing and where I want to go, what I want to do next. I've retired from burlesque officially. It is in part due to my inability to move very easily. Right now I don't have my braces on and I'm like sitting in a regular chair, but I don't have a ton of physical energy in a day, and it causes me a lot of pain to do this style of movement in burlesque. Like, I can't grind my hips like that anymore. There's just, my body just can't do that stuff without experiencing a lot of pain. But that's not the only reason I left. I also left because I've been doing burlesque for 10 years on and off. I started researching when I was 16. I discovered it then, and I researched for 2 years. And the second I was able to perform burlesque on stage, I debuted. I turned 18 on September 19th, 2008, and I made my burlesque debut on November 8th, 2008. And I wish I had waited. I wish I had waited until I was older. I wish I had known more about myself before I decided to define my life in that way. I'm not ashamed of doing burlesque. I don't have any regrets about like appearing naked in front of people. I don't feel shame about my nudity or about my sexuality, but that nudity and that sexuality, the packaging process of burlesque, made me feel even more objectified as a person, I think. Like, I felt like I had to play into the objectification. Like, the way I used to say what I got into burlesque, and like, I'm going to be objectified anyway. I may as well have fun while it's happening. And I think I lost my way a little bit because of burlesque. So there's a certain kind of attention that you get when you are a naked person online. Some of it's just from being a woman online, like some of it's just from being a female human person. That you just get harassed, like that's just part of it, and that is what it is. Like, I'm not pretending that that isn't the functionality of part of my life. Like, it's just, I'm going to get weird messages. If I'm going to post on Instagram, I'm going to get weird messages. It shouldn't be an assumed fact of my existence. Like, it shouldn't be assumed that I will get men's naked bodies put in front of my face whether or not I like it, but it's the fact of being a female online, and it is what it is, I guess. Like, you just have to kind of, like, let it roll off your shoulder. Water on a duck's back. Wait, water off a duck's back? Jinx Monsoon. Some of you know what I'm talking about. But the framing of sexuality as a product shaped me in my early 20s. And I was also simultaneously, I'm going to start crying. I'm sorry for crying. Listen, I'm a very emotional person. I cry all the time. So when I cry, you just have to kind of deal with it happening. Like, I'm going to be crying throughout some of this video because it's a very intense thing and I have a lot of emotions. I'm also on my period. And it took me a while to press that record button. It took me some time to get here, to talking about it, to saying anything to a camera, honestly, about my experience, about my life, about my truth, because it just is, it's hard. And it seems like I'm like crying for attention, and like, fine, yes, I am asking for attention because as a human I need a community and I'm looking for one. But as I was saying, the beginning of my burlesque career was occurring simultaneously with a relationship that I was experiencing that I now consider to be abusive. When I was experiencing it, I was young, and he was much older than me, and I didn't know enough about myself to not be ensnared. I'm a sucker for a tall, skinny blonde, and especially one that could play a father figure in my life. And I was 18, and I was looking for a community. I was vulnerable, and I ended up in his bed, and we hid our relationship, including during the time we lived together, for 3 years. For 3 years, he was ashamed of how young I was, but he was still having sex with me. He was still pushing the boundaries of my consent during those years of telling me, of doing things during sex acts that I wasn't appropriate with, and telling me that I would get used to them, controlling what I wore. He was also my talent manager at that point in time. That was a way for us to like excuse why he was around, because we couldn't tell people that we were together. Our relationship was open because we couldn't tell people we were together because I was 18, and then 19, and then 20, and then 21. There was, I think, maybe a total of 2 weeks where we were public about being together, and those were close to the end of our relationship. But his control over my career, which started as kind of this excuse to have him around, like an excuse to like why we were friends and why he was around me, because he had to have an excuse. We couldn't just be friends. There had to be a reason. There were a lot of rules that he could break, but I couldn't. And when I would be with other people, he would be so upset, and I wasn't allowed to be upset when I would hear him sleeping with other women through the floor of my bedroom because he was in the room under me, and I could hear him fucking other women through the floor. To be 19 in a strange place, away from my family. He was my connection to the community that I was in, so he was my connection into burlesque. He was the way I got into where I was in Michigan, and I was ultimately why I had to leave. It's why I had to leave Detroit, because I couldn't not be in the web. I couldn't stay away from him. I was so easily controlled by him. And it's shameful now. It's shameful to feel that way. Like, I still have him blocked on Facebook, blocked on everywhere. I have his number blocked. I don't associate necessarily with the community that he's a part of anymore. I talk to some people from there, but mostly I stay out of it because I just can't. I can't be a part of it. I can't be around him. I can't, because there's just so much. There's so much to unpack, to uncover, and I've been wearing it on my body, in me, for the past however many years. I mean, we split up beginning of 2012, end of 2011, so it's been almost 6 years, and I still hear his voice in my head when I do things. I'm still controlled. I mean, it's not always his voice anymore. Sometimes it's my voice saying the things he would say to me. And he took he called me oblivious. I was just free and creative and young. And he would say I was oblivious and that I was being an obnoxious child. And I was 19. I was allowed to be an obnoxious kid. But I didn't know to say that. I was in a new place and I was scared, and I thought I loved him because that's what happens, right? You think that they love you, and he would do things to manipulate me, to tell me that there would be a future one day when we would be together, when I would be old enough to be with him, when I would be experienced enough and open enough and enlightening enough. I mean, I was pressured into, I don't want to go into the gory details, but it's just, that happened in my burlesque career, and it was such a part of it and my value that it made it hard for me to, I just thought that I was this vessel to be fucked. I thought that I was this thing to be consumed. And it was my job to dress myself up as best I could for the consumption, to be eaten alive. And then if I was going to have to be eaten alive, then I may as well look like I want to look and do what I want to do and say things I want to say. And it's so connected into my core of my being about how I value myself and how I believe myself to be worthy of things and not worthy of things. Like, it's a learned pattern of thought from my experiences in the burlesque community and in my life in association with burlesque. And I think that it's time for me to be not there because I lost. This is all, I'm sure this all seems disconnected, but to me it's intertwined, it's ingrained in each other. I didn't know what it meant to be a stripper when I started stripping. I didn't know. I wanted to be this glamorous, feminine, sexual, divine feminine being because that's how I see strippers. I see strippers as these powerful Amazons, and I love being a part of that sisterhood because it really felt like that sometimes. It really felt like it was us against society, and that felt amazing. And burlesque felt like that sometimes, and sometimes it felt like getting DM'd naked pictures from dudes you don't know at 4 a.m, you know, like, and I just can't see how I'm supposed to present my work without opening the door with my nudity, and that makes me uncomfortable. The fact that I don't know how to reach people or how to get people to pay attention to me or my work without showing my tits or my ass. Look, I'm like shaking from it. Like, it makes me uncomfortable that I don't know how to do that anymore. I used to be able to open the door myself. I used to be able to say, look at me, here's what I'm doing, I'm the best. And then I started using nudity as a crutch to be like, to just get me to an audience. And I'm tired of doing that. I'm tired of using my body to open the door. I mean, obviously I need to use my hands, like I need to use my work to open the door, but I'm tired of using my physical looks to open the door. I'm tired of using my sexuality to open the door because I want my art to open the door. I want my passion, my authenticity, my honesty. I want my creativity, my ingenuity, my intelligence to open the door. And I don't think I can do that if I stayed trying to be a part of burlesque and the burlesque scene. If I stayed a stripper, I mean, obviously I still want to do variety shows, and I would love to have burlesque as part of variety shows, and I still think that it's a great art form, and I may even do it again someday. But right now, for me, I need to know that the door will open whether or not I'm naked. And right now, I'm searching for the key. And I'm looking everywhere, and I feel like it's just in my reach, and I can't do it. It was so hard to push record on this. I can't tell you how hard it was. It was thanks to Freya West and our conversation of just like, I don't care that this is embarrassing anymore. I do care. I care so much. I care so much that it makes it hard for me to do anything sometimes. And I had to say this to a camera so it felt real, and that sounds crazy, and it probably is, and I don't know. I felt like I reached a community when I was younger because I wasn't afraid to show myself. But the experiences over the past 10 years of being sexualized and trying to become a sex symbol and failing, I mean, not always failing, sometimes it worked, it doesn't matter. The path is what changed me into someone that I don't like. And I'm just trying to get past the things that man put on me, that the world puts on me now, just the existence, like my existence in the world. I'm not saying it's his fault that I'm like a fucked up mess, because honestly I was a fucked up mess when I got to him, and he just made it worse. But he was the catalyst. He struck a match in a room full of open cans of gasoline, and then never put out the fire, and I never put out the fire. So I just get burnt every once in a while, and I'm just trying to get fucking through this, man. Like, life is hard right now. Not because, I mean, it's easier than it was 10 months ago because I was really fucked up physically, but the world, the way we communicate with each other is different now. The way people feel about each other is different now because of the way that America feels. There is unrest. Things are wrong. There are children in fucking cages, and birth control being called abortion, and it's just bonkers. Everything is topsy-turvy, upside down, but also it's not, because it's always been like this, and now we see it just because of globalization. But that, on top of whatever mental health bullshit you may be dealing with right now, is sometimes fucking intolerable. And like, I just want to make things that make people happy, that make people feel less alone, that make them feel heard and seen and loved and compelled to create their own things. And I'm having a hard time starting because I don't believe in myself like I used to. And I'm trying to get that back. And when it comes back, you will be the first to know. I love all of you so much. Thank you for sitting through this. Thank you for watching. Thank you for... I'm not going to do a call to action because, like, you probably already know who I am. And if this is the first time you're seeing me and you're watching this video, like, I'm fucking sorry for you. This is... I guess, whatever. Like... So, yeah. Talk to me about this stuff on Twitter and Instagram because I genuinely want to hear from you. I'm not just saying that so my followers will go up. I really do want to talk to you about this, especially if you've gone through something like this. If you've gone through an emotionally abusive relationship or been groomed. I don't know. I'm sorry that happened to you. You are going to be fine, and it is not your fault. I promise. People act the way they do because of their own experiences, not because of anything you've done. You don't deserve that pain. You don't deserve that pressure. You don't deserve the high standards that society holds you up to and tells you that you're not enough for. And I just want you to know that if you're on my side, then I'm on your side.